Houston, we have a problem. My battery tray that I built for this thing, it's larger than a Civic battery and just a hair too small to run the Accord battery that I want to put in here. What's up, everybody? Welcome back. You guys just caught a glimpse of my dilemma on the battery tray in the trunk of the race car, which actually creates kind of two dilemmas that I'm going to have to recreate another battery tray or a battery hold down for the race car, which means I'm also going to have to either decide on a different battery that I'm going to throw in the trunk, or just go ahead and run the setup that I was going. Alright, so I'm at the cheapest place that you can find automotive batteries, and that's at Walmart. And I'm here looking at some stuff. The Civic battery itself, the 51R, they don't have a 1-year battery. So this one here, the cheapest one they have is 120 bucks, which would be like the kind of the smallest narrow size battery. But looking around on the shelves, I got a 525 cold cranking amp group 26 battery, which looks like that'll fit right into the battery tray that's already in the race car. Alright, now that I have the new battery picked out for the race car, it is smaller than the Accord battery, smaller than the battery hold down tray that I have there in the car currently, so we are going to make a new battery tray for this thing. And you can see, set next to the Accord battery. Smaller. I'll have an easier time building a box for this. And I have the two choices of the 26 and the 26R battery. I went with the 26 just because I wanted the positive side on this end of the battery for when I face it, the way I'm going to face it in there. It's going to end up working out perfect. So first step to make our hold downs, I've got some pieces of angle iron and another piece of flat strap. And I went out today and picked up pretty neat, cute little 6-inch metal chop saw. Picked that thing up for 50 bucks from Harbor Freight, and I already cut one piece of strap with it just to test it out to make sure it wasn't just a waste of $50. And it worked amazing on cutting these little brackets. So if you guys need a cheap little cutoff tool to make brackets and stuff, that's a excellent tool to pick up. First things first, the way I'm going to make my bracket, I'm going to have my two pieces of angle iron I'm going to cut for my sides, which is also going to end up having my hold down straps. Then I'm going to use some flat strap on the side that I'll cut and weld together to make my box. So I have my first piece already measured out what I needed. I have this strap already measured out, so what I'm going to need to cut for the one side. Get that thing set up on the chop saw here. I'll cut that piece, then I just need to make another identical piece of both the angle iron and the flat strap, and we can set it up in a jig and get this thing welded together. Got all four of my pieces are welded together, so the main base plate is now put together. Need to drill out 6 holes total in this thing. All the corner holes for the bolts that are going to hold it down to the body of the car, and the center holes that are going to end up being for the bolts for the strap down. And before we get to working on that, set this battery down in here and make sure that it fits. We've got good fitment all around. So now we can just move on to drilling our holes and getting the other one removed from the car. And old battery hold down and all the hardware has been unbolted and removed from the trunk. We're going to set the new tray in here and make sure that this is going to work out. And it looks like a pretty good spot. Be able to set it right there. Just drill my holes that I can mark my holes to get drilled and have this thing mounted to the chassis. I've got the holes drilled out in the corners. I also went ahead and drilled out directly in the center on each side a hole. And I'm going to go ahead and reuse my 1/2" all threads to use as my battery strap hold down, and also the battery box hold down itself. And I'm going to take a couple of these 1/2" nuts, and I'll end up welding those on there so we can thread our all threads in. And then we'll make a strap to bolt down onto the all threads. Got my bolts rigged up in the tray here, upside down, just for a quick, easy, you know, to be able to just test this to make sure that it fits and drops into place. I like butter. I think fit in there perfect. And honestly, with those, you know, I may leave it like this. With these nuts, with these bolts upside down, with these nuts on here, that honestly gives it like the perfect, like, height spacing above all these divots in the floor. So I kind of like that, actually. We'll just leave that bolted how it is, and then instead of from the top side underneath the car, I'll just go under and throw my big large washers and tighten down my other nuts. And I got some lock washers in here too to make sure those don't come out. So that's I'm pretty stoked so far. It's looking pretty good. We'll get this bolted. I'm gonna have to find like a piece of plastic of some kind to cut out, make a little insert to throw in here so that when I put the battery in there, it's not just the battery sitting down here on metal. I have an idea kind of on what I'm going to do to make the battery tie down. You know, thanks to Robbie for picking up some free extra scrap metal from somewhere. I've got this 1/2" square tubing, and I still have some leftover 3/4 inch flat strap here. I think what I'm going to end up doing is I'll cut a couple pieces out of the flat strap. I'll drill some holes to match the 1/2", you know, the 1/2" all threads that I'll end up using, you know, to slide down the all threads. And I'll end up measuring out, and I'll cut a piece of this square tubing, you know, about the width of the battery, or maybe the width of the battery tray, and then I'll weld to the square tubing. I'll weld a couple, you know, the two little pieces, you know, like to the square tubing. It'll have my holes drilled, and we'll have it lined up, or I'll use the battery tray itself and the rods. I'll use those as a way to mock everything up when I go to weld everything together. So I got my plan. Time to make this happen. So let's see what happens. So here's the final product in hand. My cut pieces with the holes drilled, welded, matched to the width of the tray. It'll slide in upside down just like this. I've got large tall nuts that I'll thread down to hold this guy onto the battery, which it'll sit on the top side just like so. That way I've got an actual true flat, you know, mounting point that's going to end up taller than the lugs on the battery. So that way I have something tall enough to make sure that when the battery box is bolted down to it, that it's not going to end up touching the terminals of the battery, since I'm making my battery box out of angle iron and sheet metal. Alright guys, so monsoon season came, and there's just been storm after storm just rolling in. just left and right for the last week and a half, almost 2 weeks. And progress on videoing for you guys has really kind of came to a screeching halt, and I've just kind of been floating, you know, for 20-30 minutes here and there, you know, on random days, just doing some stuff, getting this battery tray finished. And I'll show you what we got going on in the time that I wasn't able to get the video going for you guys. I got everything cleaned up here inside the corner, all the rust and everything. I got everything sanded down, and I primered it up with some black flat spray paint. And I got the battery tray is now completely finished and bolted down into the car. I got this tray is now been painted completely gloss black. All that was really left for me to do at this point was get everything ready to run all my new wires and figure out how I was going to create my battery box to enclose the battery back here. But also during the last week and a half, there's been another little surprise for me, and I'll show you guys what this little surprise is. Now, Robbie's been home for like the last week and a half, almost 2 weeks, and getting ready to go back on the road. And in that time period, I got his car running for him again, and the G23 under the hood of his CB7, it's running fantastic with absolutely no issues. So Robbie's been out here in the shop. He's got his brand new welder all hooked up, and he's been playing around with the thing for the last couple days, building a battery box for the race car for me. This is totally killer. It's all made of sheet metal. He's got this thing all primered up, ready for me to paint it whatever color I want to paint it. And it looks like all that's really going to have to be left to do to this thing, aside from painting it, is get our holes drilled into the top that's going to hold it down onto the battery tray. So that's just way too awesome. I don't know how to thank you enough, Robbie, for doing this for me. That saves me a lot of headache and work. Check that out, guys. So we got a pretty killer looking battery box. It's going to keep our battery enclosed. Alright, so I got my holes drilled into the battery box for the hold down, and I was thinking to myself that I would try to find some kind of a handle or something I could drill in, either screw or pop rivet into the box, so that way I would have something to, you know, be able to lift it up and out with just these. And rummaging around through everything we got, pretty much all I could really find were a couple old door handle knobs. Got some holes marked out and drilled to locate where I'm going to have my little knobs. Screws fit down perfect into these holes. Now it's just time for me to paint this, let it dry, assemble all the little hardware, and we'll go see how well this thing fits. I'll let the paint dry for a day. Now I've got all my hardware, my knobs, my handles are now attached. It's painted black, looks great. Robbie left the backside open of the box, just as I had planned to do, to leave access for where all my cables and wires are going to run into the box, and the backside is closed off by the quarter panel. So let's go test fit this thing into the car. "100% perfect fitment. Couldn't have worked out any better. Check that out. That fit is phenomenal. Now my battery fits in there perfect. I've got enough room between the post and the top by, like, you know, a couple inches, about 2 inches. So I won't have to worry about my cables grounding out on the box. The backside is left open so I can have access to run all my cables to the battery. And then the box itself will be held down onto the studs with some washers and 2 more nuts. And then I can just take a new measurement and I'll cut them down slightly so that these studs are not quite so tall. And this whole new battery setup is completely finished. Well, that's two more things knocked off the list of everything we need to do to the Civic. Got a new battery tray. It's enclosed into a brand new battery box now. All that's left to do battery wise is to run a new 0 gauge power cable to the alternator and the fuse box, a new 4 gauge wire to the starter, and we're going to run new grounds and new battery terminals. I'm going to save that for the next video that we do on the car. That's going to wrap it up for today. I'm going to get the rest of this stuff all buttoned up in the car, get it all cleaned up, go inside, get all these video clips uploaded into the computer, and get this video edited and uploaded for you guys. And as usual, the whole YouTube spiel. Thank you guys all for subscribing to this channel. Thank you guys for watching my videos. If you're not a subscriber, please hit that subscribe button. At least 85% of you guys that are watching my videos are not a subscriber, and that just would really help out if you hit that subscribe button and the like buttons. All the comments on the videos help keep this thing growing. Lets YouTube know that you guys like my stuff, and they'll keep recommending my channel on your guys' news feed. So until next time, peace out.